Head of officiating for the XFL, Dean Blandino. Welcome to This is the XFL Show. It's been a pretty fun week for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a busy week. You know, we announced our rules, and I didn't realize how many people were interested in the rules of the game. But we've been nonstop all week, just on different shows and different conference calls. And it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I could tell you as a football fan, this has been the week I've been looking forward to the most, just because it is the reimagining of the game. The rule book is just that. And we saw a lot of differences here from some of the more traditional football we've come accustomed to. And it's super exciting. Let's dive into some of these rules. You're the man to talk to. So I want to start first with just the overall concept of the rules that you put together. It seems like there was a conscious effort to just simply provide more opportunities for true offensive plays from scrimmage. The overtime, the punt, the field position as a result of the kickoff rule. There's going to be a lot of offensive plays under center or in the shotgun. Was that the case? Was that the goal?
Yeah, I think that was definitely one of the goals. And a lot of work and study and background went into these rules, and talked to a lot of different people and fans and people around the game. And I think it was two things. I think the things that came up were the pace, and to maintain a good pace, to not have a lot of stops and starts and unnecessary delays. So eliminate some of that downtime. And I think the other thing was the offensive side of the ball. Not completely ignoring the defensive side of the ball, because you have to have the right balance. But fans, we talked to, they want big plays. They want to see more scoring. And so a lot of things that we did with the rules is going to incentivize teams to not punt on fourth down, to go for it, to not try to play conservatively and to play aggressively. And we think that's going to be a more exciting game.
Yeah, the punt rule definitely is going to be encouraging that for sure. How many plays from scrimmage, quarterback under center, in the shotgun, whatever, can fans expect then over the course of an XFL football game from one of the teams?
Yeah, I think with a shorter play clock, so we're going to have a 25-second play clock, and obviously NFL, college is 40. I think we're going to see more plays from scrimmage, and then that was the goal: more football, less downtime. And NFL game averages probably 155 plays a game. College is higher. There's more tempo in college, but I think we're looking at probably 165, 170 plays per game.
And then there's the kickoff rule, which is really exciting because it's going to open it up for more kick returns. And this is kind of the meatiest part of the rules page on the website so far, because there's a lot of differences here, and it's really exciting. Will this design for the kickoffs give us teams averaging a starting field position then at midfield, because there are going to be so many returns, and there is that waiting period for all the players besides the return man and the kicker?
Well, yeah, I don't know if it's going to be midfield, but I think you're going to get a pretty good starting field position, because, again, it's set up differently, at least at the start of the play, where you're going to have 10 kicking team players at the return team's 35, and then 10 return team players at their own 30, so 5 yards apart. So it's going to definitely promote more returns. And we'll see, depending on what happens, the blocking up front and how many yards. But what we've tested is, I think your average drive start in the NFL is probably somewhere at 22, 23, close to the 24-yard line. I think we're probably going to be somewhere near the 30-yard line. But again, it's going to depend on those returners and those blocks, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I cannot wait to see. This is a totally different kind of concept for sure, and I want some clarity just for my sake. Exactly how does the illegal procedure work on the kickoff? Is it anything in the end zone or short of the 20 is a penalty? Correct?
Yeah. So you have to kick the ball past the 20 in the air. So if the ball that's to prevent. You've got all those players up front. That's to try to prevent, kind of a line drive kick to try to hit one of the players. So it has to cross the 20 in flight. If it doesn't, it's just a dead ball, and it's gonna come all the way back to the 45, the kicking team's 45-yard line, similar to a kickoff out of bounds, which is a very big penalty. So teams are incentivized to not try to kick the ball near the boundary, or not try to play around with a pooch kick close to the 20-yard line. And then you have the teams that can't leave their restraining line until either the ball is touched by the returner or if it hits the ground after 3 seconds. So if they leave too soon, that would be a 5-yard penalty we're calling that like an illegal formation.
Okay, so also there's a rule where the ball will go to the 15-yard line, I see, and that's if the ball, I'm assuming, hits the ground within the 20-yard line in the end zone and then bounces into the end zone for a touchback?
Yeah, for a touchback. So then, that's to incentivize the returner. We want to see that player take that ball out of the end zone and return it. We feel like the play, we've eliminated those high velocity collisions that happen when you have that big run up. And so if the ball hits in the field of play beyond the 20 and goes into the end zone and the returner downs it, then that would be a touchback at the 15. The normal touchback where the ball just goes through the end zone, that'll come out to the 35. I
love it. And it's going to be the very first thing we see on February 8th is this new kickoff. And I just can't, I'm so excited for it, Dean. And I know you guys did a lot of testing, but I can only imagine, coaches are starting to think of strategies in terms of how the kickoff team's going to approach this. Maybe, they have that waiting period, but you have to have guys who are able to maneuver around instead of just run down the field and have that huge collision. So it's going to be an interesting strategy for coaches as well with the new kickoff. Let's get into the pace of play here, Dean, with the 25-second play clock. You alluded to it earlier. Considering how fast-paced it's going to be, what are the rules going to be regarding defenses making personnel changes then?
Yeah, that's a good question. So 25-second play clock, and we have a dedicated ball spotter. So that's not an official, but somebody that's just responsible for spotting the football. And we feel like at the end of the play, on average, we'll take about 7 seconds to get the football down and wind the play clock. So you're looking at 32, 33 seconds from end of play to the ball being made the next snap. So if the offense substitutes, then the defense will have a reasonable opportunity to match up, and that's the same as NFL and college rules. And but with the shorter play clock, it's going to happen more quickly than those other leagues. So again, offense subs, defense gets an opportunity. They can't delay. If the referee will look to the defensive sideline, and if there's no action over there and nobody's coming onto the field, we're just going to go and allow the offense to snap the football. Now, once the offense doesn't sub, then the defense has to be ready, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out.
And we know skill players on offense are going to have headset communications. You talked about that. What about the defensive players? Are there going to be 1, 2, 3? How many players on that side of the ball get it? Yeah,
I think right now the plan is to have you can have up to 3 on the defensive side of the ball, and there's 3 levels on defense. You have your defensive line, you have your linebackers and your corners, and then you have your safeties. So 1 at each level would be the max, and we'll see how many teams. I don't know if there's necessarily a need on the defensive line, but they have that option. But we'll see how many players each team does. But they can have a max of 3 on the defensive side of the ball.
Awesome. So the pace of play is going to be really, really exciting, really different. Defenses are going to have great cardio. We've been talking about that with the coaches we've had on the show, Dean. So I'm excited to see that as well. And then there's the double forward pass. Now, I don't know how often we'll see the play attempted, but it's an exciting rule. It's interesting. Is the real work of this rule, though, I'm thinking hopefully lowering the amount of situations where referees are attempting to figure out if the ball was a lateral fumble or a forward pass. I mean, because now, when coaches call that kind of play, that swing pass or that backward lateral and a throw, bubble screens, I mean, they're going to be going more forward than not. So maybe that'll eliminate those situations a little bit. Is that the thinking?
Yeah, I think that's one of them. I think it will, in some instances, eliminate that need to have to figure out whether it was forward or backward. Certainly if the ball is caught. If the ball hits the ground, they're still going to have to figure out forward or backward, because if it was backward, it's a live ball. And obviously if it's forward, it's dead. And but I think that was one of those things where that's an exciting play, but it's a tricky play to run if you're only allowed 1 forward pass. And so we wanted to promote that type of excitement. And so now, and now it's another layer of strategy. It's another play that the offense can put in their playbook, and something the defense just has to be ready for. So we're excited about that and see how that plays out, and how often, like you said, how often teams are going to use it. Where that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I can't wait to see if a coach puts a second quarterback out there for that play. I mean, that's
Sure.
totally able to do that. This question regarding the double forward pass team comes from one of our listeners, Kurt, who asks, can a backward lateral occur between the two passes on a double forward pass?
Yeah. So you can have a maximum of 2 forward passes from behind the line, and but you can have unlimited backward passes. So you can, and then that's the other thing. It's just a max of 2 forward behind the line, but backward passes, you can throw in a backward pass between them, before it, after it, however you want to do it. It's unlimited in terms of backward passes.
All right, there you go. That's the double forward pass. Now let's go to the overtime. And honestly, Dean, I am rooting for an overtime game in the XFL every single week. I can't wait. The shootout overtime. Were there any other rules or formats on the table? And ultimately, why was the shootout format chosen?
Yeah, I think we looked at everything. We looked at all the, NFL overtime and college overtime. I think, ultimately wanted to do something a little bit different, make sure each team was guaranteed a possession. And I think the biggest thing that it came down to was really the flow of the back and forth. And if you think about penalty kicks in soccer, or you think about a hockey shootout, that was kind of the feel that we were going for. And I think it's going to be fast paced, and it's going to be exciting, because every play is either going to be a score or a stop. And so we're going to have that opportunity to see, what teams do in that situation. You got five tries from the 5-yard line, and they alternate tries. And if they're still tied, then they'll just go 1-1-1-1 until we get a winner. So I think overtime. I'm with you. I'm rooting for let's get an overtime in week 1. I definitely want that.
Oh yeah, it'll be epic. I can't wait to see it. And I'm hoping personally you guys choose to split the field, but I know that decision hasn't been made yet, or has it? If not, when? Or will there be all players on the league at the same time at both ends, or are we going to do this in one end in OT?
Yeah, I think we're still working through that. I think there's pros and cons. I like the look and feel of having it at both ends, and you can just go from one end to the other. But there's challenges with that, because obviously you have to officiate each play, and if you have the plays at either end, then you have to split your officiating crew, and you've got less coverage. So, and then also from a network perspective, you've got camera coverage, and you've got a cart cam that really would have to travel almost 100 yards, and really in that time frame it would be impossible. So those are things we're working on now, and then once we get to training camp, I think we'll have that finalized.
Awesome. I just think that this is more indicative of the actual regulation game, the shootout in football, as compared to soccer or hockey. Dean, we talked about this earlier. Those sports, you're playing almost a different kind of game in overtime with the shootout format. In football, it's still the game, and it's the same format, and I think it's about time someone's trying it. So I'm really excited that the XFL decided to go with this overtime format. Let's go to everyone's favorite topic when it comes to penalties, pass interference. Why did you guys decide to go with pass interference as a spot foul like the NFL instead of a set amount of yardage?
Yeah, so the majority of our rules, probably 96% of the rules, are NFL rules, and that's professional football. And we wanted to make sure that we were presenting professional football and recognizable football, so not change it too much. And I think when you talk about the argument between the spot foul and the 15-yard max is just the level of athlete, and the professional athlete, especially at the defensive back position, is just better than the college athlete. And we want to promote the deep pass. And if you go to a 15-yard max penalty on pass interference, the concern is always that when a player's beat, he's just going to tackle or grab and prevent the touchdown and take the 15-yard penalty. And that's always been the argument against it. And then you get into debates about, well, you could have different layers, and if it's intentional, it's a spot foul. If it's not, it's 15. But that adds another layer of judgment into pass interference that we don't want to go down that path right now. So And again, in these rules, we're going to study all the rules at the end of the year and see what we liked, what worked, and if there's something that we didn't, and an unintended consequence we didn't think about, then we can change it for year two.
Well, it's simpler, I think, and the 1 foot down rule as well. I'm very excited for. I just want it to be as smooth as possible for these officials when they have to call those balls in the air and everybody's going for a 50-50. It's tough, but
Sure.
you
Sure.
guys have also said I saw you said in on your AMA on Reddit that hand fighting would be legal. Can we expect the XFL referees to be more lenient then, letting players play and relying on maybe the replay official to just keep an eye out for anything egregious when the ball's in the air?
Yeah, I think we want our on-field officials to officiate, especially the downfield contact, and we'll just like in the NFL or college, there's a certain amount of contact that's allowable between the offensive player and the defensive player while they're jockeying for position or they're moving downfield. But where we want to draw the line certainly is if there's a grab by the defender or if there's a push off by the offensive player, and then those are things we want to make sure that we penalize. And I think, again, we want to allow the defense to play and have a chance on these plays. We don't want it to be all about offense, but again, if there's something that steps over the line, we want our officials to call it.
And we have a special question here from another listener, Dean, who wants to ask you. This is from Mark, who said, "Will pick plays be illegal in the XFL?"
Yeah, that's a good question. So anything that a pick play will not be legal if it occurs beyond the line of scrimmage. So if it occurs right at the line, it's not a foul. By rule, you can't have pass interference. By XFL rule, you can't have pass interference behind the line or at the line. It has to be beyond the line. So if there's a pick play that happens beyond the line of scrimmage, it's a foul for offensive pass interference.
And how will defensive holding be enforced as opposed to pass interference? How can fans tell the difference?
Yeah, so defensive holding is typically before the pass, and that's a grab. It's something you'll see receivers trying to run routes, and then a defender will grab or hook that receiver, and so that's a 5-yard penalty, automatic first down. And then once the ball's in the air, then we can have pass interference, and that's something that significantly affects the receiver or the defender's ability to make a play on the ball. And so that's where you get into pass interference. And so that would be a spot foul on the defense, and an offensive pass interference will be a 10-yard foul from the line of scrimmage.
Awesome. Let's go to the replay official now real quick, Dean. I'm really excited for this, and hopefully we'll have some television access to that booth as well. I just feel like it's always good to have a guardian angel up in that booth for the referees, and hopefully that's what this replay official will be. Hopefully they're not called upon too much, but what sort of rules or restrictions will they be under? Will they be timed to get calls in quickly?
Yeah, so our replay officials they'll be responsible for stopping the game at any point. So it's not a coach's challenge system. It's more like the college system where they can look at every play and look at all reviewable aspects of that play. And then it's the normal set of reviewable rules like pass possession, scoring plays, line to gain, those types of things. And but we do have an added element, like you said, that guardian angel. And that's where the replay official, if there's something that involves player safety at any point during the game, and it's a clear and obvious mistake, and it's going to have an impact on the outcome of the game, the replay official can provide input to the on-field crew. And in the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, if there's anything, even if it's not reviewable, and it's anything that's obvious, and it's going to have a significant impact on the outcome of the game, the replay official can provide input and help the on-field crew get the call right. And I think that's the goal, and why we went with the last 5 minutes is we don't want to re-officiate the game from the replay booth, but in the last 5 minutes, a team has less time and less opportunity to overcome a mistake like that. We want to make sure that we're not, again, negatively impacting the game.
It's just an excellent backstop. I'm loving it. I liked seeing it actually in the AAF, and I know the XFL is going to utilize that role in effective way, and hopefully also the broadcasters are going to give us something special with regards to that official. I have one more question for the on-field rules here, Dean, regarding the long snapper. Because everybody forgets about the long snapper, but what are the rules going to be regarding lining up over the long snapper on punts and field goals?
Yeah, this is in all of my questions this week. This is the first time somebody asked about a long snapper, so I'm excited about that. So long snapper will be the NFL rule, so you can't line up on a field goal extra. We don't have extra points, but on a field goal or a punt, you can't line up over the long snapper. And then the long snapper does get defenseless player protection, so you can't take a helmet to helmet, shoulder to helmet, drive your forearm into the head of that player until he's had a chance to protect himself. So if he gets into a blocking posture, he's no longer in a defenseless posture. So those will be the rules surrounding long snappers.
Awesome. And I'm assuming also in terms of the safety of players, the defenseless players, quarterbacks as well will be treated similarly in other professional football leagues. You know, the hitting low or high, late. Are we going to try to? I mean, if a quarterback gets tapped in the head by a hand, how sometimes we see that in the NFL. How closely is that going to be officiated?
No, we want normal. So NFL roughing the passer rules, but it has to be forcible contact to the head. So the brush or the graze, that's not going to be a foul.
Awesome.
And so it has to be forcible, and certainly quarterbacks will get that defenseless player protection at the knee area or below, because those can lead to injuries, and certainly late hits will be fouls.
It's that rule forcible in the rule book that is going to do everything to avoid those. I love it. and I feel like I'm not the expert you are, Dean, but I am ready for these rules. I feel like I understand them. We're going to help fans, over the course of the next month, understand them better. And I'm sure once it takes the TV and the explanations keep rolling in, everybody's going to be ready for this new look football, safer, faster. I really appreciate you joining the show. The rule book, the rules are out. Will the rule book be made available to fans? Yeah. The rule book will be made available probably some point before the season starts. So we're just making sure everything, just dotting the I's and crossing the T's right now. But we'll have that available pretty soon here. Awesome. And then we'll give everybody the audio version, the audio rule book. We're going to do a complete reading of it, Dean, and we'll be sure to get you a copy. All right, man. Yeah, definitely send me a copy. We appreciate it. And take care. Enjoy the run up to kickoff in February, and we'll talk to you soon down the road. All right. Thanks for having me.